Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with the Pastor. What day is it? Thursday? I know what date it is. It's June 4th, but I couldn't remember the day for just a second there. Wait for some people to pop on. Anybody? Someone say hello to me. Hi, Tori. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Clark. Are you watching from home? I guess, what's up with Dell these days? Is everyone working from home still? Thanks for those sunflowers. Hi, Brittany. Okay, so while people are signing on, I thought I would just give a little news roundup of things I was looking at this morning. And you can see all the links. You can see all the links in the caption after this video ends. You should be able to see them with no problem. Tori, thank you for asking how I'm doing. I think I'm doing good. My grandmother passed away 3 years ago today. This is a special day for our family. My whole family is really, we're really into traditions and rituals, and so we really take marking this day seriously. And I'm looking forward to doing that, and this coffee is a part of that for me. But I really haven't had time to process the way I would like to, because I have a small child and she loves to come in and, need me. So I feel a little bit frazzled, like I wish I had more time to myself. I woke up early, but whatever, it didn't really scratch the itch. So anyway, news roundup. I saw a lot of people sharing. Forrest shared this morning about 8 Can't Wait. I linked to it. I think it's a really great, productive way to work towards some change in your local area. You can see that 8 Can't Wait. Let me explain what that even is. Data proves that there are specific 8 policies that can decrease police violence by 72%, which is a lot. And so if you go to their website, which I linked to later, you can see various cities, which of those 8 policies they have in place. There's not a city that I know of that has them all in place. I think Austin has 3 of the 8 in place, so that's not enough. I went on this morning and submitted Cedar Park and signed up for the email list so that hopefully we can get our own cities. Because once you get your city on there, it gives you information on how to advocate and who to talk to. And so check that out if you live in Fleurville or Round Rock or Hutto or wherever you live. Like, go to 8 Can't Wait and submit your city. So if they get a lot of people submitting, hopefully those cities will show up on there soon. And then I linked to what I think was a really encouraging story out of Washington, D.C. Last night and this morning, I believe, on what I'm calling neighboring. And I think it is literally about a neighbor in a particular district in D.C. where this street, like 300 people were arrested. 300 protesters were arrested last night. And like 194 of them were on this street because it's a one-way street and it's easy to bottleneck people in, and so they're just arresting people. And so this neighbor saw that the police were like just arresting people right before curfew, and he literally let like 80 people come into his house and spend the night. Go look at the article later. It's an amazing story. He was just like funneling as many people in as possible. He let them stay there. The police actually there in that area happened to tear gas inside his house, like while people were running in. It was crazy, but it was a beautiful act of solidarity. The protesters were filled with gratitude. They cleaned his house before they left. Neighbors that he had never even talked to brought pizza over so they could have food to eat. They were up all night. They couldn't leave until curfew was over at 6 a.m. So it was this really cool story. So check that out. There is a peaceful Black-led march, an event in Austin on Sunday, I believe, Sunday afternoon, hosted by the Austin Justice Coalition. Go follow them on Instagram, follow them on Facebook, donate to them. They're doing really, really important work here in the area. And you can get updates about things that are going on through them. And finally, just a reminder to please avoid sharing images of violence toward Black bodies. This is just very, there's a lot, people are calling it trauma porn. It is, but it's also very triggering for Black people to see these images right now, especially because a lot of Black people have been pulled over. They've had experiences that have been scary for them. And so seeing these images can be really, really triggering. So be mindful of that. There's enough blatant racism going around right now on social media with people revealing their racist tendencies. And so we really don't need extra graphic images triggering people of color and especially Black people right now. So I wanted to share all of that because it is happening and I don't want to neglect talking about it. Every day looks different and we're facing it and doing the work. But I also wanted to ask you if you could hold space for me this morning. Part of good health, I think, is vulnerability, and part of vulnerability is asking for what you need. And I need you to hold space for me for a minute while I just share some love for my grandma. She, like I said earlier in the video, passed away 3 years ago today. Was really close with her, and she was and is a really important person in my life. And I thought I would just take a moment to pay a little tribute to her. Like I said, I haven't had a ton of time to process this morning. I kept getting interrupted. Oh my gosh, I kept getting interrupted in so many different ways, and I tried to create the space and it didn't really happen. So you guys may know what that feels like. So I'm a little flustered, but I did make some notes and I hope I can speak eloquently this morning for her. So my grandmother's name is Angela de los Santos Wardwell's her married last name when she died. And I just wrote some little notes that I hope might be, I don't know, it was where my mind was when I was reflecting. And I was reflecting about, yes, Clark, so my grandmother died 3 years ago today. It was Pentecost Sunday, and I was sitting in our book club on Sunday morning when I got the call that she had died. And so Clark was there. It was a small group of people that were sitting around the table with me in that moment. And so that's cool that we have that connection. Anyway, my grandmother, I like to feel like she's with me through me. And so anytime I see her in something someone me or my family does or says, then that gives me comfort. So I was thinking about everything going on. I've told you guys a little bit about my story and how I was raised in the rural South in Louisiana, and the town I grew up in was really had a lot of racial tension, and it was very segregated for the time that I grew up in. I grew up in the, mainly the 90s and Louisiana in the early 2000s, and there was a lot of racial tension and separation between white people and Black people, and not a lot in the middle. And so my grandmother actually moved down to this town. My family's from Chicago area, Michigan area, and both of those places, Michigan, then Chicago. But my grandmother moved down to live in Louisiana not with us, but in the same town when I was like 8 or 9. And I'm looking back and reflecting right now, but basically I'm looking back and realizing that I was raised not by my parents, but by the small town I lived in, by the culture in rural North Louisiana, and by the micro messages I was sent in over and over and over. I was raised to be afraid of Black people. And I think this is because I lived in a white neighborhood. So had I lived in the black neighborhood, I don't know what that experience would be like. But it was just a very racist town. I don't know what else to say. It was. And I didn't realize this then, but I can look back and see that that was how that experience, that's something I have to do deconstructive, decolonization, and anti-racist work in, is realizing the ways that I was raised to also have that lens and that colorism. And something about my grandma is that, like, she just was not afraid of anybody or anything. And she moved down and she had like friends, and honestly the black community was more her people, because she found through her experience and the way she grew up and the way she experienced life, she found solidarity in the black community, and she trusted the black community more. And I wish that I had this realization when she was alive and when she was still there, so that I could learn more from her. But what I did learn was that she was fearless, and that she rejected that fear, that community that she didn't grow up in and that she didn't understand, tried to instill in young people and in the residents of the town. So I almost feel like every time I act in defiance of fear, and I hope I'm saying this okay, as it relates to ways that perpetuate domination systems, ways that perpetuate white supremacy, every time I act in fearless, in defiance of all of that, I feel like my grandmother's spirit is like with me. Does that make sense? Anyway, so that was just a thought that I had, was thinking back really hard and having to remember all these fuzzy times that I didn't commit to memory, but that the more I dig into them, the more that they're there in my subconscious. Somebody comment, because I feel like I'm crazy right now. Okay, so yeah, when I reject fear, I feel more like her, because I'm such a fear-based person in general. I'm a 6 on the Enneagram. If you guys are doing that dig deep stuff, fear is a really big part of my life. And my grandma was not like that. She just was so fearless. So thank you, Rita. Thank you. Okay, the other thing about my grandma is that she did not take shit. Like, she did not take any bullshit at all. And so I feel like she was such a tough as nails person that one time in seminary, I was taking a 3-week term in January. Thank you guys, because I feel so vulnerable right now. And the professor, who I had no interactions with, I never took a class before or after from him. Matt was in this class, but we didn't know each other. So I don't even remember. I feel like Matt was in this class. Matt, you know what I'm talking about. But we didn't speak because we didn't know each other. So anyway, after the class ended, the professor called me up to him. And like I said, we didn't have a relationship. We never interacted. And he said, you remind me of my grandmother. Okay, this is like a man who is a grandfather. And he told me I reminded him of his grandmother. And then he said, tiny little thing, but she was tough as nails. I don't feel like I'm tough as nails, but any part of me that appears that way, any fire I have in my bones, any feistiness or sarcasm or attitude I have, is directly inherited from my grandmother. So I can't help but love it. I love that I have that part of her, and really every person in my family is like this as well. But it is her mark on our lives. And so I love that. And then finally, anytime I smile, or anytime anyone in my family smiles, my dad, my sisters, my aunties, my cousins, anytime I see that smile, it's her smile. Every one of us got her smile. She just had and I think I have a good smile because I think I have my grandma's smile. She has the best smile. And so I love seeing her mark in my life. I cannot state it enough. So thank you for holding this space for me. My grandmother was not a saint. She, if she was here now, she would be totally not social distancing. She would be totally breaking every rule there is. She would be making inappropriate jokes and then feigning innocence, because that's what she did all the time. She had shame and she had pain, and I see it as my own job for her and for myself to know healing in my life. If I can know healing from generational wounds because of things like white supremacy being a big one, if I can know healing, then somehow I'm paying tribute to her. And so, you know, like I said, she wasn't perfect, but that's what we love about her. She was a mischief maker. She lied. She once tried to steal something from a thrift store, and then when they caught her, she pretended to fall. Like she just pretended to fall to take the, and even this morning, my sister who works at Starbucks was telling me that this woman came in, because you can come in to get to-go orders and stuff at her Starbucks. And they have this table set up just for the people that work at Starbucks. And there's a sign, and it's like, my sister's a manager, and so when people come in, for work, she has to take their temperature, give them a new mask, she has to do all this stuff. And so there's this table that is just for them, but it's accessible. So this woman came in, I guess yesterday, and while her family was checking out, she went over to the table and tried to put the masks in her purse and take them and steal them. And my sister was so stressed out. She was texting me about this, and she was like, I had to go up to this woman and like take them from her and tell her not to do that. And she tried to act like she didn't know that they were for us, but it was so obvious. And she was stressed, and I was kind of like, yeah, that's really terrible. But all I think was, that sounds like something grandma would have done. I could see my own grandmother doing that. And so I was like, just remember, grandma would have done that too. So anyway, I want to just sort of end with this story that ties this all into you all, our sacred community at peace. Yesterday, I was driving out to take dinner to the Leshbers. The Leshbers, recently Tiffany and Christopher, they lost their son, Ezzy. And it was so tragic, and it was only 3 weeks ago. I mean, we are still grieving. And so I was taking them dinner, and I was going to drop it off and head home. And they live out in Hutto, which from where I live, that's half an hour away, and it's like out in the middle of nowhere in my mind. They live around cornfields. It's beautiful. Hi, Tiffany. And so I'm driving out there, and as I'm driving out, I'm thinking, okay, my grandmother's anniversary of her passing. Is there a quicker way to say that? I don't like any of the ways. Someone give me a new way. By the way, I was thinking, is tomorrow, as soon as I leave here, I need to figure out a way. I need to do I have a mask in here? I need to run into the store. I need to get sunflowers. I need to have them, because my grandmother loved sunflowers like so much. Every year, we always have sunflowers on this table around this time on her birthday. Like, I just have to find sunflowers. And so I'm driving out to Tiffany and Christopher's, and I know I need another day. Tiffany, you didn't miss anything though, because I just started telling the sunflower story. So I was driving out, and I'm on this like random country road, and the road is lined with wild sunflowers. Like, oh my God, it was like so overwhelming. I could not believe it, because my whole family, like, sunflowers is the thing. And so it was like, I couldn't really process it yesterday. I tried to tell Tiffany and Christopher, but like, it was like I felt this deep spiritual bodily reminder of our oneness in that moment. I felt connected to Tiffany and Christopher. Like, I felt like you guys gave me this gift of being able to see these sunflowers. I felt connected to Ezzy. I felt like I was in like this energy of Ezzy. Like I was in that bubble of his good energy that is over your life and your home. And I felt, of course, connected to my grandmother and my family, because my family has this connection with sunflowers now. And I felt connected to the earth, and I felt connected to God all at once in like one moment. Can you imagine this like feeling? And I had like chills go down my body, and I was overcome with emotion. And it was just this reminder to me that we are one. And we are one, so we continue to grieve with our community right now, with the Leshbers. We are one, so you sit here at coffee hour and you hold space for me as I honor my grandma. We are one, so we bring each other meals when we need them. We've been doing a lot of that lately. We are one, so we continue the hard work of justice and liberation. We are one, so we do the anti-racist work, friends, because we're one. We have to do it. And none of us are free until all of us are free. And this intense and beautiful and unexpected encounter with these sunflowers was an intense and beautiful and unexpected encounter with the present moment. And it helped remind me to stay in this present moment, even when it's hard, even when it's not what I want it to be. Yeah, it was a mystical moment. And that oneness really just overwhelmed me. So I wanted to share that with you. To end, I'll just share this tiny little excerpt of a poem I wrote right after my grandma died. It was actually a longer poem for my dad for Father's Day, but this part talks about my grandma. And I just wrote, "We tend to write tributes for our loved ones only after they've died. It is our way to honor their memory, to express our affection and our gratitude, to preserve their life with pretty words. This is what I did for my grandma, that feisty and glorious soul, when she died only 2 weeks ago. And to be quite honest, I'm not sure it's what she would have wanted. My grandma used to love to tell us, shit happens and then you die. She always referred to her belongings as junk. She insisted on not having photos of her husband because he's dead, she would say. It was as if in her own harsh way, she was more interested in living solely in the present. It wasn't just preference, it was survival. I believe the best way to honor her life is by doing the same. So this is what I will do. I will live in the now. I will hold things that don't matter lightly, and I will write tributes for the ones I love while they're still here to hear them." And I would add, living present in the moment, I will continue this work with you all of dismantling things so that people can see change before they die, so that people can know healing before they die, so that people can know oneness and see the solidarity of all of us and our interconnectedness. So that's all I got. I'm sorry if I rambled, but thank you for holding this space this morning. And we have a fun surprise for you tomorrow, so make sure to show up for coffee at 10 a.m. Central. Oh, and dig deep tonight. Go register if you haven't. Talk to y'all later.